doesn't love an extra helping of nostalgia? Living in 2022, everything now has been remade from your childhood. You got the new Fresh Prince that's made as a dark comedy. New Jurassic Park coming up. Star Wars basically rebooted their old franchise for nostalgia. So nostalgia is everywhere. Now these are the quick 5 films that I think did nostalgia right, that took a franchise and actually moved it forward for a new audience the correct way, or pay homage to the past without directly imitating the past. Okay, because here's one that's kind of got it wrong. Of course, The Matrix, I talked about this, and Ghostbusters Afterlife kind of repeated the same movie, had a great closer for Ghostbusters, but without any strong characters, I don't think they can really move that franchise forward. The only greatest character in there is Phoebe. Same thing with the Star Wars, which I will get into later. So, all right, starting at number 5, that a movie that took nostalgia property and did it correctly and did it justice. I'm going with Dr. Sleep, directed by Mike Flanagan, which is a direct sequel to The Shining, and it's actually a true sequel that was written by Stephen King. And of course, everybody knows that Stephen King hated the original Shining, directed by Stanley Kubrick. So Mike Flanagan went in and paid respect to the written Stephen King book and paid respect to the old 1982 Shining film. Yeah, I think it's an underrated classic. If you haven't seen Dr. Sleep with Ethan Hawke, check it out. Mike Flanagan does an excellent directorial job paying respect to the old Overlook Hotel, some of the Jack Nicholson thing, recreating scenes from the first one while continuing the story. And the story basically of The Shining is about alcoholism, and they really play into the alcoholism even more in the second one. The sins of the father, you know, that the son redeems. I'm not going to spoil it here though, but number 5 is Dr. Sleep. All right, number 4 on my list of nostalgia properties done right. I don't even know how the hell did this thing work, but Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai right now on Netflix, that used to be on YouTube, has done a wonderful job of taking their old nostalgic properties from the 80s and being very self-aware of what it is. Like all the 1980 tropes that we thought were super cool right there are funny and corny here, but they make it work to such a comedic element, and there's plenty of action, of course, with the karate and the New Kids, and you know, the karate is all right. I mean, it's pretty good, but we're in it for the cheese. This is the biggest man soap opera on TV to date, but I love every minute of this cheese. It's the Karate Kid, what we grew up with, but it's also moving the story forward with Daniel and, you know, Cobra Kai, and they bring everybody back from the old sequels, not just to have them there in the film, but to actually be a part of the story. And I think whatever formula they got just doesn't seem like it should work, but it does, like on a WB PG-13 level. So excellent job to Cobra Kai. If you haven't checked that out, that's definitely a nostalgia property that has done it right. All right, now I'm down to my top 3 nostalgia properties that have done it right. This was a tough one to put at number 3. My top 3 are really tough, but I'm just gonna go with it. I'm going with my gut. Number 3 is Spider-Man No Way Home. Of course, now it's the biggest domestic box office movie of all time, taking down the Avatar. What makes this movie so nostalgic but done in the right way? Well, first, you bring all the classic villains back in the film, not just to make a cute little cameo like, I'm the Green Goblin, I'm done here, or bringing back all 3 Spider-Mans. Spoiler alert, if you guys haven't seen it, I'm sorry. All 3 Spider-Man reprised their role: Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland. And what makes this special, once again, they are actually a part of the story. You know, they're not just in it for a little bit. They show up a little bit towards the 2nd or 3rd act, but they're actually a part of the film, and their chemistry work together. When you see all 3 Spider-Man on film doing their spider shit, it's just fucking amazing to watch, and you just like, I can't believe I'm looking at this. I thought I would never see something like this. So that's why that's the number 3 nostalgia property on my list done right. Now for number 2 goes to Creed, directed by Ryan Coogler. Rocky himself does not make a cameo in this film. Rocky Balboa is a huge part of the story, and Adonis Creed, who's of course the son of Apollo Creed, is his own character in this whole movie. Of course, it follows a lot of the same stories, tropes as Rocky, the first one, but what makes it different, it has that Ryan Coogler flavor on it, you know what I'm saying? He has his own journey, his own thing, even though it rivals Rocky a little bit, but it's so different that it makes its own story. And then that one shot with Adonis Creed, you know, going up into the ring, and you see that whole fight done in one shot. Spectacular direction by Ryan Coogler here, and a great performance by Michael B. Jordan, and a great performance by Sylvester Stallone makes it one of the classic Rocky movies in the whole entire franchise. And it moved the story forward with Creed 2 and Creed 3 on the way, gonna be directed by Michael B. Jordan. So Creed gets the #2 spot on this list. All right, we have come down to it. This is my #1 nostalgia properties done right, and it goes to a Star Wars property. Not the new sequels. Hell no, that was doing it wrong. That was taking nostalgia properties like The Force Awakens is basically The New Hope with new characters, but you don't really do a lot new here, you know. But I think they tried to do something new. Like Kylo Ren, I think it's the most interesting part of that whole entire new trilogy. And he had his own real story arc. Rey is almost like Luke in a way, but the main thing about those movies for a lot of people just didn't work. And I think it's not the actor's fault, but I think the characters were written badly. And I think that's why it almost sunk Star Wars into the ground. Now, #1 is from a Star Wars property, but it's from The Mandalorian. This is what I'm talking about, taking the actual lore of Star Wars and taking the galaxy and the universe and moving it forward. So you have this new, not a new race, I mean, they've been around all the time, but never live action, a Mandalorian based in Return of the Jedi times. And then you put a Force youngling in there, which is Grogu, of course, the baby Yoda, and take them on all these adventures on Disney+. I think Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni probably single-handedly saved Star Wars itself. It was in a bad spot after the new trilogy. I think the last one actually lost money. A Star Wars movie lost money. Can you believe that? And, you know, now what they're doing, even, you know, Boba Fett in his own show couldn't get away from the shadow of The Mandalorian, because in that whole season, the best episode of that whole season was the Mandalorian episode, you know? His lore is interesting. He's his own character, his own theme. He got his own theme music. That show single-handedly saved Star Wars, and it's bringing a lot of people back as fans. I mean, Grogu was everywhere. You're not going to get rid of him. He's selling toys, merchandise everywhere for Christmas and whatever. So that's why I think Mandalorian takes the #1 spot, because it took Star Wars into another place without retreading the same material. Ghostbusters Afterlife, like I said, rest in peace Ivan Reitman. I think they did a great job at setting it off like a closure book to Ghostbusters Afterlife, to say goodbye to Harold Ramis, Egon Spengler. But I think having the Ghostbusters show up for 2 minutes was maybe a mistake. Maybe you should have added them interweaving them more into the actual story plot to make a better film and to kind of pass the torch in the correct way, like a Creed did. Or even Mandalorian stands on its own. It doesn't rely on so it relies on past mythologies and storytelling, but it doesn't, you know, directly rely on a current story plot. It's kind of his own. Even though Luke shows up and we get all our memory berries, which that Luke Skywalker episode and Boba Fett with that face learning technology, Deep Fate was absolutely amazing. So there you have it, guys. My top 5 of nostalgia properties done right. What did I miss any? You can let me know in the comments below. Like, yeah, for #5, I got Dr. Sleep. #4, I got Cobra Kai. #3, I got Spider-Man No Way Home. #2, I have Creed. And #1, I have The Mandalorian. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. If I missed any, yeah, just let's type them down. Let's have a conversation about them. And don't just stare at it. Eat it. Peace. I'm out cold. You hoes been exposed. Walk
up on you slow with the flow and unload. You got more left for dead on the road. I strode when your car got towed.